You noticed ants in your house, right? But what if I told you? It's not just about the crumbs or the weather. These tiny messengers could be revealing something about your energy, your space, and even your soul. Stay with me. Because the message they carry might be exactly what you've been needing to hear. They appear without warning. First, just one or two tiny, silent, unnoticed, then more. A trail, a line. A gathering, ants, you spot them in the corner of the kitchen, along the baseboards. Crawling across your countertop, your sink, maybe even towards something sweet you left out for only a moment. Your first reaction might be annoyance, even panic. How did they get in? You ask, where are they coming from? You look for their source. You spray, you clean, you try to make them disappear. But something inside you feels unsettled. Not just because of their presence, but because of their persistence. It feels like they're trying to say something. As if their appearance isn't just an infestation, it's a message. Throughout human history, ants have been much more than pests. They have been symbols, powerful, ancient, layered. In almost every spiritual tradition, ants carry meaning, discipline, order, collective intelligence, strategy, patience, preparation, endurance. But when they arrive inside your home, your sacred, personal space, they cross from symbol into sign. And when signs repeat themselves, when they appear in places they shouldn't, or in times of transition, they are no longer random. They become sacred patterns. Messages from the unseen spoken, not in words, but in movement, in presence. In persistence. So what does it mean when ants invade your home? Why now and why you? Your home is not just where you live. It is an energetic reflection of your inner world. Its walls hold your emotions. Its rooms echo your thoughts. Its corners absorb your memories, your joys, your fears. When ants enter your home, they are entering your field, your spiritual atmosphere, and they don't come without purpose. Ants are drawn to what is sweet, but also to what is scattered, to crumbs, to leftovers, to the hidden, forgotten places beneath the surface. And maybe, just maybe, they're pointing you toward the same in your life, the parts you haven't tended to, the thoughts you've ignored, the habits left on autopilot, the clutter in your mind mirrored in the crumbs on your floor. Spiritually, ants do not just show up. They emerge when there's something to be reorganized, something to be observed, something to be restructured, not only in your space, but in your soul. They move with purpose, always. Every step, every turn, every gathering has intention. They do not waste time. They do not wander aimlessly. They know where they're going even when we can't see it. Their collective movement reminds us of what it means to work with unseen order, to trust a rhythm that may not be loud, but is consistent. And when they show up in your home, it might be a spiritual echo asking, where have you been disorganized? Where have you lost your sense of purpose, of structure, of unity? Perhaps you've been feeling overwhelmed, like everything is scattered, like your thoughts are running in 100 different directions. And now, just outside your bedroom door, a line of ants is doing the same. They carry no fear, only focus. They don't hesitate. They act, they prepare. And maybe that's the very lesson being sent your way, that now is the time to act on. In chaos, but with calm certainty, that your home and your spirit are calling for order, for clarity, for deliberate intention. In some traditions, ants are also messengers of abundance. Yes, they gather food, but more deeply, they gather energy. They remind us that wealth doesn't always appear as sudden windfalls. Sometimes abundance is built grain by grain, day by day, quietly, faithfully. If ants are showing up, perhaps you are being asked to stop waiting for the big moment and begin trusting in the sacredness of small steps. To see that every action you take, no matter how invisible to others, matters. That your energy is being recorded by the universe, that you are building something bigger than you realize. And what about the feeling of being invaded, of something entering uninvited? This too is a mirror. Where in your life have you allowed energies to enter that don't belong? Where have your boundaries weakened? Where have you left doors open, not just physically, but emotionally? The ants might not only be physical guests, they might be reflecting energetic patterns, People or situations slowly creeping into your field, draining your sweetness, carrying away your peace in tiny increments until one day you notice a line. And suddenly, you realize you've been hosting a disruption you didn't consent to. This is the deeper invitation, to become conscious of what you've been unconscious to notice what has been slowly gathering, to see the spiritual message behind the physical presence. The ants are not here to punish or harm, they are teachers. Their lesson is uncomfortable but precise. They do not arrive in chaos. They arrive to reveal where you've fallen out of alignment. And their persistence is the universe's persistence. A repeated nudge asking you to pay attention, and perhaps most powerfully, ants represent unity. A single ant is nearly powerless, but together they form systems, communities, colonies that survive anything. And in a time where many feel isolated, fragmented, lost ants remind you that you are not meant to carry everything alone. That power lies in community. That healing sometimes begins not in retreat, but in reconnection. When ants enter your home, it might be a call to ask, where have I forgotten my tribe? Who have I stopped leaning on? Where do I need to rebuild? Connection, their presence is layered, their message is multidimensional. And if they've entered your home now, it may not be because of the crumbs on the floor, but because of what's stirring in your life, in your energy, in your spirit. And maybe without realizing it, you've been asking for this message. Maybe not in words, but in energy. Maybe your soul has been whispering for guidance, for clarity, for something to interrupt the pattern. And the universe answered not with lightning or dreams, but with movement on your floor. With a silent line of ants walking without apology through the place you call home, it's easy to dismiss them, to wipe them away, to focus on the inconvenience, the discomfort, the disruption. But that's often how spiritual messages arrive and invited, unexpected and uncomfortable. They show up not to destroy your peace, but to reveal the illusion that peace was never fully there to begin with. They come to shake you just enough to see, to notice, to awaken. You see, ants are not like other insects. They don't act for themselves, they act for the whole. They embody the sacred principle of service. Every step they take is in service of something greater. And if they're walking through your space now, maybe you are being asked to remember your service, your purpose, the why behind your life. Maybe you've lost sight of your role in the collective. Or maybe you've been giving too much, serving others, but forgetting yourself. The ants show up to bring the balance back, to remind you that true service doesn't require martyrdom, but it does require clarity. They also bring the medicine of resilience. Ants are small, but they carry more than 10 times their weight. They don't stop because something is heavy. They adapt, they climb over, they reroute. If one path is blocked, they find another. And maybe you needed that reflection. Right now, maybe life has felt immovable. Maybe obstacles have piled up like walls you can't climb. And then the ants came to remind you that you were never powerless. That persistence is sacred. That there is always a way forward, even if it's not the one you planned. And still, their message deepens. Because ants don't travel randomly. Their lines are sent through invisible maps you can't see. They trust the unseen. They follow what cannot be explained, but always leads them home. What invisible trail have you been ignoring? What subtle intuition, what gut feeling, what sacred urge have you dismissed as irrational or inconvenient? The ants are asking you to feel again, to trust again, to follow the quiet trail that your soul laid out for you long before your fear got in the way. But be honest, how long have you felt the ants before you saw them? How many days did you sense the imbalance before something visible confirmed it? This is the gift of physical signs. They don't invent truth, they reflect it. They arrive to confirm what your deeper self already knew. So if you feel like the ants are showing you something, they are. If you feel like their presence carries weight, it does. And if your first reaction wasn't just frustration but curiosity, then your intuition is still alive, still listening. Still ready. This is where the transformation begins, not with cleaning or spraying or sealing, but with reverence. With a moment of stillness in front of something that most would call a problem. and choosing to see a pattern, choosing to listen to the earth, to your home, to your own energy in conversation with itself. In shamanic and indigenous traditions, all creatures carry medicine. None are random. None are unworthy. Even the smallest are teachers, especially the smallest, because they go unnoticed by those who refuse to slow down. And so their message is reserved for the ones who do, for the ones who stop, for the ones who feel dot. And if you're still here, still listening, then you are one of them. You are the kind of soul that sees meaning where others see mess. The kind of heart that knows there are no coincidences. The kind of spirit that is willing to feel discomfort if it means unlocking deeper truth. That's why the ants came to your home. That's why they chose your floor. That's why, while others complain, you were being called dot, and the call is this: realign, rethink. Remember, realign your space, not just physically, but energetically. What are you holding on to that needs to be cleared? What emotional crumbs are you still feeding? What parts of you have grown stagnant, piled up, ignored? Rethink your actions. Are you moving with intention? Or are you reacting, drifting, chasing without knowing why? Are your days being built like the ants build, or are they being consumed without nourishment? And finally, remember. Remember who you are. Remember what you came here to build, to carry, to connect. Remember your place in the colony, not as a slave to duty, but as a bearer of sacred contribution. You matter. What you do matters. And how you treat even the smallest messengers, that matters too, because life is always talking through numbers, through dreams, through animals, through silence, and yes, through ants. And maybe you've come to realize now that this wasn't about the ants at all. Not really. They were never the threat. They were the mirror, a reflection of everything you've been avoiding. The invisible trails of thought that loop inside your mind, the little habits that have become heavy without you noticing, the energy that no longer belongs in your sacred space, the quiet call for grounding that you've been too busy to hear, but now you've heard it, now you've seen it, and now you get to respond. The beauty of the ant is that it does not apologize for arriving. It does not shrink to be accepted. It walks with confidence, with rhythm, with presence. And if you let its message enter not just your ears, but your body, you begin to remember that you too were created to move with purpose, that you too can return to order, to discipline, to devotion without losing your softness. The ant is not mechanical, it is sacred. It does not serve blindly, it serves with clarity. And that is the lesson it leaves on your doorstep, your floor, your mind. This is not a call to fear. It is a call to awareness. When ants appear in your home, they are not announcing doom, they are signaling a shift, a chance to reconnect with the foundations, to cleanse not just the physical crumbs, but the emotional debris, to reset the rhythm of your space, to reestablish sacred structure. You may feel moved now to clean, to organize, to shift things physically. Follow that instinct, not out of anxiety, but out of reverence. Cleaning with awareness is a form of spiritual alignment. It is prayer in motion. Every drawer you empty, every surface you wipe, every corner you reclaim, it all becomes a declaration. I am ready, I am aware, I'm walking in rhythm again. And while you clean, ask yourself, what thoughts am I dusting off? What memories am I releasing? What version of me is ready to return to the surface? Because the ants came to wake you up. Not to scare you, not to shame you, but to nudge you into clarity. And they'll leave when the message is received. They always do, just as quietly as they arrived, they will disappear. Not because you forced them out, but because you finally heard what they came to say, and even after they're gone, their lesson will stay with you. The next time you feel scattered, you'll remember their precision. The next time you feel isolated, you'll remember their unity. The next time you doubt your impact, you'll remember their strength. And the next time you overlook a small sign, you'll remember that some of the most powerful messages arrive in the tiniest forms. Ants are architects of the unseen, guardians of the ground, reminders that small things matter. And when they come into your home, they are not intruders. They are initiators, stepping across the boundary of the physical to deliver something that words cannot say. And now, it's your turn. It's your turn to move deliberately, to carry only what is yours, to stop feeding what drains you, to serve your purpose with quiet clarity, to be both soft and strong, small and significant, silent and sacred. The ants are gone, but the shift remains. And the question they leave behind is simple. Will you walk your path with presence or continue to stumble through the noise? Will you ignore the signs or begin to trust that everything carries meaning? Even the ants, especially the ants. So now, look around, feel what's changed, not outside. Inside. Because the message didn't live in the floor. It lived in you. And now that you've remembered, walk. Asterisk, if this message stirred something inside you, don't ignore it. Share this video with someone who also sees meaning in the little things. And if you've had ants appear in your home recently, tell us what shifted. These signs aren't random, they're sacred. And they often arrive when your soul is ready to see. Subscribe for more spiritual insights, hidden meanings, and sacred reflections that help you reconnect with what truly matters.